Yee! You can probably see the handle on mine, huh?
No?
No, okay.
It's cool. All right. Chia, Chia.
Lateef!
Welcome.
What's up, man?
Welcome.
Yeah.
Glad to have you today, man.
Yeah, man, it was fun. I'm glad you gave me the opportunity.
Yeah. Before we start, I want to tell you why I invited you to the show. I told my wife, I asked my wife, who can I bring on the show next? Because I didn't want to just bring anybody to the show. And I met you, 2 years ago?
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't want it to be a specific, I don't want to have a show with a specific race, specific genre that somebody does. And I was like, how can I switch it up? I did 2 already. How can I pick the next person? I wanted to choose a person that I wanted to teach me something, and that somebody that gives me a feeling that, man, I want to emulate some of the qualities that this person has. So the qualities that I chose in you is, I love your energy. The first time I met you, it was like, I'm Chia, how are you? Hugs and all type of stuff. And I'm like, this is the person I want to choose. And I'm glad you're here.
Yeah, man, I'm glad to be here, bro. Like, I love what you're doing with your channel and everything, man. Whenever I watch it, it's always inspiring. There's always a nugget I could take from it. So that's what it's all about, man.
That's good. So tell the people what do you do? What do you do?
So I am a real estate agent or realtor here in Sacramento and El Grove area. I've been doing it for a little bit over 3 years now.
Okay.
And my channel, the Chia Talks channel, is just about educating people. It really started with me just educating the Hmong community about
what platform do you use?
YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, but mainly Facebook for right now. But I'm trying to migrate everything over to YouTube because it's a different platform, right? So depending on the platform, there's different needs and like applications that you have to apply, or else it's not going to be relevant. So I'm still trying to figure all that out. But mainly Chia Talks was created because, like I came across a lot of Hmong families through the Hmong radio station that was asking me all these basic questions.
Like what?
Like, who do I go talk to if I want to buy a house or get pre-approved? It's like, these are simple questions. And then the next question will always be, well, I don't have money to pay for their expertise. It's like, you don't pay for that. When you go and sit down and get your credit checked or speak to a realtor, they don't charge you a dime.
I thought the same thing when me and my wife bought our house.
You're not the
I thought
only
the
one.
same thing.
Everybody thinks like that. And so for me, I was like, oh my gosh, so many people don't know. And if you don't know what you don't know, and you don't move on with the process. And so I felt like, what's the easiest way for me to be able to educate people to where they could understand, to where it's so simple that anybody could do it? YouTube channels. Leveraging the internet, YouTube channels. And then when I started my Chia Talks through the Hmong radio, I was like, you know what? I need to make this live. So I started live first on Facebook for a whole hour on Wednesdays at 1 p.m. I was doing that for like a good year and a half. And then I was like, you know what? I need my YouTube channel. Because some people are not able to watch my live streams because they're probably on their way to work or they're working. So
Has it progressed you? Do you see like a shift once you started making the YouTube channel?
I did, but our community, the Hmong community, they're always a step behind. They're not tech savvy, so they're now getting into Facebook.
Okay.
So YouTube is like another step. So like they don't even know about subscribing, they don't even know about liking or commenting. For them it's like, oh, I like it, I'll just listen to it. Like
so are you getting them so what's your
I'm getting more feedback through my Facebook lives than my YouTubes.
Okay.
So I'm trying to revert them back to my YouTube channel, but really the main focus is always Facebook. They're all on Facebook.
Okay.
And they watch my live streams. If it's another step they gotta click to go to YouTube, it's like, they're not even gonna click it.
Okay.
So I've realized that, and it's because they're a step behind. See, our culture, we're really stubborn because of what happened generations ago. They have a hard time trusting other people.
What happened generations ago? Give us a little history.
There's been a lot of scams going on in the culture to where, like, there's a story that every Hmong family will probably know about, to where it's like, hey, look, you give me $100, and when I see you next week, I'm gonna multiply that, and you're gonna get $1,000. And they were doing that for a season, and next thing you know, families are, oh man, my money's really doubling. And then next thing you know, they're giving like thousands of dollars away, expecting tens of thousands of dollars to come back.
Oh, wow.
And then all of a sudden, that person never shows up.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so every Hmong family probably knows about this story that was being told years ago that happened. So because of that, the Hmong community, there's such a tight niche that everybody knows a story. Once it's a rumor, it's like wildfire.
So
it spreads.
So what's your strategy in breaking that trend,
For
that
me,
mindset?
For me, it's about building trust, right? I don't expect you to want to work with me or listen to my advice if you don't even trust me, because everything I'm giving you is going through one ear coming out the other. And so I've realized that. So for me, it's really to build trust. Like, I'm letting you know, look, I'm really here to help you. No strings attached. No strings. I don't expect anything back from you. I just want to give you information and give you so much value that you could do something with it now. Not tomorrow, not in a year, now. So that's really my take on Chia Talks.
Is most of your, like, clients Hmong? Are you trying to, like, teach the Hmong community that you can buy a house, you don't need a rent in this day
and really teaching them, it's not even about becoming a homeowner, it's really about accomplishing their dreams.
Okay.
And I know some of those dreams is being a homeowner. But really the ultimate goal is to just get you to move. Start doing something. Like, man, you got a passion, you got a goal, you want to do something. The information is there. Like, everything I'm teaching is all over the internet.
Do you feel this is your like your new bound purpose?
It is. It's, like, I've always told my wife, I feel so fulfilled when I'm serving other people.
And that's what I learned too. Like, it's crazy that you said that, because I've been into, like, different books, and that's what they all have in common, is like, when you do something that's bigger than yourself, that's when you find your purpose and happiness.
And that's how you continue to go on, even during the stormy days. See, like, you met me through where? Church.
Right.
Volunteering. I've been volunteering. I was volunteering for like 4.5 years straight. The moment I became a follower of Christ, I've been serving that since day one. Never looked back.
So before you got into Christ, where were you?
I was a shaman.
Shaman?
So that's my upbringing. Every Hmong community, their upbringing is shamanism.
Explain shamanism to
Shamanism is when you worship your ancestors and you burn incense to them for them to watch over you.
Okay.
They believe that when an individual is sick, it's spiritual attack, and so they find a shaman king or shaman to come out and bless and perform rituals on your family or that individual that's sick. It's kind of like they're working out a deal between that negative spirit, and because they believe that when you are sick, not physically or spiritually, but spiritually, your spirit is asking for something in return. They need money, they need food, or whatever it is.
So what's the difference between, like, so what made you shift to Christianity or Jesus?
When 4.5 years ago, my dad passed away.
Okay.
And then that's what really triggered everything, because I went through the whole tradition of burying my dad for like 4 days. Or actually a whole month, because before the funeral actually starts, we do this weekly or daily thing at our house to where it's called Zhama, to where they're basically just there with families just over hanging out, playing cards, and making sure that the survivors of the person that passed away are being mourned and just feels comfortable, feels that it's okay, that we have the support. So that's really what those daily nights are for.
Okay.
But when I was going through the funeral days, started from Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and Monday, when I was going through that, I felt like crap.
Why?
Because we just lost our dad. My mom just lost her husband, and I looked around, and everybody was drunk. Everybody was playing cards. There was people that I didn't know that was there macking on our cousins. It was like a party.
Right.
So for me, that broke my heart because I'm like, it's not even about my dad anymore. And then that's how I felt.
Right.
And then we had this thing at the end of on Sunday morning where it's called Nia, to where it means you have to cry as a guest, as a guest of honor walks in. All the family members are lined up at the front door with their heads down, on their knees, and they're crying. So that the guest of honor will pick you up. And if nobody comes and pick you up, you can't stand.
Right.
You have to continue laying down crying. And so this is what I told my uncle. I can't cry anymore. These past couple of nights, I've been doing nothing but that.
Right.
There's no more tears. Like, I can't fake my tears. And this is what he said. I kid you not, this is what he said.
What?
If there's no tears, you have to fake it.
What?
Either the sound or whatever it is, you have to fake it.
Okay.
Because if you don't, these guests of honor are basically going to think that you don't care for your dad.
Wow. So after that story, is that when you shifted and?
So when that happened, all the family members came and sat. And we stayed till midnight, right? Hearing the gold nuggets, basically like blessings from the elder.
Okay.
And one of the elders says something, and this is what I heard. It was basically kind of like Da Zung Yung, right? They said that word, and that means devil.
What?
So he was basically saying something like, we're guiding you to Da Zung Yung.
Oh wow, that's.
And so for me, I'm like, huh? So for me, that didn't really make sense, but that's always been a tradition that they say.
Wow.
And so we were standing there, and I was next to my wife, Natalie, and I was like, I don't want my kids to go through this. I feel like crap. They're making me do all this that I don't feel genuine to do. I mean, like, what more do I have to prove? I'm his son, and I loved him, and I'm mourning.
Right.
Like, what more do I have to do? And then now this, like, they're guiding my dad to hell.
Right.
And so I'm like, I know this is not it. I know this is not life. There's gotta be a better way. And then my wife has been already attending church for like months. I never took it seriously when I went with her. My hands was always closed. I was never open to receiving, so I couldn't receive. And I finally told her, okay, we'll go. This Sunday after this, we'll go. And I'll give it a shot.
Right.
And then we went, and I felt, as soon as I opened up, right, I felt like the pastor was preaching to me. And I was like, was he there at the funeral? I felt like that. I felt like the pastor was following me around town for months, and he knew exactly what I was going through. So everything he said was right towards me. I didn't care about anybody else in the room.
Right.
It was only about me and the pastor. And I'm like, how the heck does he know how I feel? So for me, I'm like, man, this is crazy. And then we got out, and you know how we got that 20-minute window to where we go and speak with people?
Right.
Everybody that came out just poured on me.
Okay.
Wanting to get to know me. They truly want to get to know me, ask me about my story, talk to me. And I felt a lot of love. Because remember, I just came from a place of months to where I felt like crap.
Right.
Even though I felt like that, I was still being stepped on by people that I loved.
So where do you get your energy from? I want people to.
It's always been there. You know, like my energy, when I have a passion for something, it comes out naturally. I can't, it's more draining for me to speak like this.
Cause I'm the type of person that speaks like quiet and just nonchalant. And when I first met you, it was like, "What's up?" Hi? I'm like, "Whoa," and I was like, a part of me was like, "Oh, this is kind of weird," but then I was like, "Man,
Is he faking it?
Yeah, I was like, "Is he faking it?" And I was like, "I want some of that energy. I want to, cause I feel that way inside, but I don't know what."
It's like a converter internally that converts it to like a low
compresses it.
volume. Yeah, it compresses it.
Yeah, and I'm like,
everybody's wired differently.
yeah.
For me, if I try to do what you're doing naturally,
Right.
it drains the heck out of me.
Why?
I don't know, because I'm compressing everything into this. It takes so much energy versus me being natural like this.
Okay.
So I don't know, man. For me, I get a sense of like fulfillment from doing this, because I always like to tell myself there's two choices that everybody has.
What?
You can either choose to make the best out of what you have now,
Right.
or choose to be down and like grumpy, and because no matter what choice you make, it's contagious.
So how do you, when somebody comes to you grumpy, how do you,
I discern, because I realize that how I like let out my energy, some people's not ready to receive it right up front. It could be distracting, it could be scary, it could come off as offending.
Okay.
So I've learned to realize that through the years, so I have to discern. So like if I never met you and I did that and you're a little bit like, "Oh, hey, what's up?" I will know to tell myself, okay, Chia, bring your level down.
Right.
And then I will have to be like, "Oh, hey, what's going on?" And then from there, as we open up, then I could be louder and louder and become more myself. But I realize that everybody is different, so I have to do this with my clients.
Okay.
Sometimes I'll come across clients where they're not ready to receive the whole package.
Right.
So I have to discern and bring my level down and really cater to them.
Okay.
It's an art.
Yeah. It's an art.
You have to be intentional.
Right.
You have to be intentional, because it's not that you don't care.
Right.
And they're just like a person you're reading and trying to react to or mirror. No, it's not that. It's about relating, and it's about showing commonality and just letting them know, hey, look, I'm willing to die of myself,
Right.
and to give you something to where you can relate. And then from there, once you open up, I'll open up, and you get to know who I am.
What's your main purpose? If you can dial it down, like, what do you feel that you wake up every day to do?
For me, it's my family. Like everything I do is really for my family. I see
How
them.
many kids do you have?
I have two, Cherish and Dante. Cherish is about to turn 11. Dante is about to turn 8. And I do everything for them. Because me growing up, our parents was first generation. They weren't educated to where they knew what support meant. So for me, growing up, I didn't really have that support system. It was a lot of tough love.
Okay.
It was a lot of tough love. Like, my dad could not be my friend. That was just how it was. Because if he was my friend, he wasn't my dad. It was that kind of honor. It was that kind of discipline. So for me, when I had my kids, I never wanted that to be the perspective of my son or my daughter. If they had any needs or wants or troubles, I wanted them to come to me first instead of going to the world. Because the world's going to give them something whether they want it or not. And it might not be what I want for them at that time. I want to be the first one to tell them. Like, if you're feeling down, it's okay for you to come to me and tell me, "Dad, I'm feeling down." And it's my job to lift you up. And if you love doing something, you have a passion for it, it's my job to support you before anybody else supports you.
Right.
Growing up, I had a passion for dancing. I was competing, I was breakdancing, and my mom and dad, they hated it. They always called it, like, Mukito wholesale, you know what I mean?
Silly.
Like, that means spinning on your heads. That's all you're gonna do. Like, you're gonna kill yourself. You're gonna get stupid over spinning on your head.
Right.
There's no future in that. But for me, it was like, no, I love doing it. And that's not true. There's professional dancers out there right now competing. That's all they do. And they're earning a living. So it's not based off of what you guys think. Just because you guys don't know about it doesn't mean it can't be done.
Right.
You know, so like throughout my years of upbringing, that was always the perspective for my parents. They always wanted me to become a doctor or a nurse.
Okay.
That was it. Every Hmong family, they're probably gonna hear the same
I
thing.
think that's every family though. That want their kids to be greater, but
To be greater, but for us, the title was a doctor or nurse or pharmacist.
how do you change their mindset?
When I started succeeding doing something that they never expected.
Okay.
So I remember when the moment I knew my mom was able to transition to a different perspective was when I moved her in to live with me. I purposely sold her house because she was alone and she couldn't afford it no more, so that she could come live with me. And I told her, the moment you come live with me, you're retired. Don't pay for any bills. Don't do anything. I'll do everything for you.
Okay.
You're supposed to retire right now. And for her, she was stubborn. Every Hmong parent is stubborn, and they have this idea that I'm taking care of my kids all the time until I get very, very old. Then they take care of me, which is a wrong mentality. So I had to change that shift. So when I made her come and live with me, for 2 years in, I noticed a change. I noticed she was happier. She was always going out. She was never home. She was doing a bunch of retiring stuff.
Right.
Right? And she would tell some of our elders that, like, my son bought this house on his own. I'm living with him now. I don't need to do anything. Like, life is good.
And so.
But she doesn't tell me that. She tells the elders that.
Okay.
See the tough love? They don't tell us any of that. They don't like edify us or do anything. But we know they tell a third party.
Okay.
So I heard it from like third parties that shit, like, your mom's really happy, all this, all that. And that's when I knew she kind of shifted her perspective now of, okay, like, they know better than us. They're more educated than us. Whatever they have a passion in, I just got to support them.
And so what made you, at what age did you say, okay, I want to try real estate?
So during that time, I was a smog mechanic.
Okay.
I've been working on cars for like 4 years. Went to UTI and then been in the industry since. And then it got to the point to where I saw the ins and out of that industry, and I didn't like it.
What about it?
It was just about politics and money.
Okay.
It didn't really make any sense.
Right.
Like, for example, I was a smog mechanic, right? The purpose of a smog is so we can lower emissions. But that doesn't make any sense, because if that's your whole goal, then we should be smogging motorcycles, we should be smogging diesel trucks, we should be smogging airplanes. Did you know that one round trip of an airplane is equated to, like, I think 40 vehicles?
Really?
It's insane. That's one trip.
That's crazy.
So if you're telling me that we're trying to reduce emissions by smogging vehicles, and then you're still letting airplanes fly out and do all this, that doesn't make any sense.
Right.
So you're being a hypocrite of your own word. That doesn't make any sense. And then now you're also making it harder for smog mechanics to do their job.
I think everything is about money at the end of the day.
It is about money. So I came to that realization, and I didn't like it anymore.
Okay.
So my mentality was really out the door. I was looking for something different. I remember I was going to a Bible study, and Billy was there, Billy Vang.
Yeah.
And Billy was like, why don't you look into real estate? He was really in real estate, and he was doing a career night that Thursday. And he said, just have an open mind, go. I went, and it blew my mind. I was like, man, I could really do this.
Okay. And how old were you when you sold your first house?
How old was I? This is like 3 years ago in March. So I was 26 and a half.
Okay.
26 and a half year old.
How did it make you feel when you first had that first sold?
Oh, I lied. I actually sold my first house before I got my license.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I did this thing called wholesale, to where you just find the property and you put it in contract, and then you sell that contract to an investor
Okay.
that could eventually close on the deal for you.
Uh-huh.
So that was my first deal before I got my license. I did that in October before I got my license 3 years ago. So that was like in 2015.
Okay.
October of 2015 was when I sold my first house, and I did it while I was working my 9 to 5.
Really?
I didn't.
what's up.
I've never seen the property. Didn't do anything about that. But that's a whole new story on its own about wholesaling. But that's when I sold my first house, and for me, it was so easy.
Why do you think it's like being in the game now, the real estate game? Why do you think it's like? Do you think it's harder for a minority to get a house versus someone who's not a minority?
No, I think it's actually easier for a minority.
Why?
Let me explain. Minorities have the mindset of I don't know anything. All I know is work and make money and save that money, right?
Right.
So for minority, it's easier because they're like a blank slate. They just need to speak to somebody that's an expert that they trust to educate them now. Like I'll share an example. This is a real life story. I helped a family member. They were a minority. They've only been living in the U.S. for now 7 years. When they first moved there 4 years ago, they were looking to buy a house. I met them when I first started 3 years ago, and they didn't have any credit, but they had a lot of money saved up.
Right.
I told them that, hey, look, I'll follow up with you guys. Here's what I need you guys to do while you guys are preparing yourself. Get a credit card to build and establish your credit.
Right.
But the money, whatever you guys are doing right now, keep doing it. You guys have a job already, keep saving that money too. But just establish credit. A year fast forward to last year, she contacted me again, saying, hey, I think we got credit now. We've been saving, doing what you're telling us. I think we're ready to buy. They did. Got them pre-approved, bought their first house ever.
Okay.
And like they were just blown away because they never knew it was possible because they're a minority.
So I just bought a home too, right? And this is why I asked that question, because we went to one of the bigger banks, right? I'm not gonna say which one, but we get there. The lady, she wasn't friendly at all. Like, no, she was nice on the phone. She was like, "Oh yeah, come in. We'll tell you what you need to buy the home." So we get there. She sees a young couple, me and my wife, and we sit down. She sits at the computer. Doesn't even like look at us all the way. She's still on the computer and just says, well, "I'll be right with you." So we get in the seat. We're sitting there for like 10 minutes. And then she's done doing what she's doing on the computer. Then she faces us and goes, "How can I help you?" In my head, I'm like, "You're a loan officer.
We just spoke to you.
We
over
just
the
spoke
phone.
to you on the phone, right?" And then fast forward in the story,
You felt like a number.
I felt like a number, and she said, and we ask. She tells us we need $20,000 to buy a house, and she didn't tell us why. She didn't say anything. So we left that place thinking, dang, we saved all this
a lot of money.
Yeah, we had to give up all our money just to get into this house. But then we found like a smaller place, and they're more friendly. They're more like willing to help us, whereas like we didn't have to put really anything down. And that's why I want people to understand, and that's why I want you to come here and tell people you can buy a house. You don't need a rent, because you're paying $1,600, $1,700 for rent.
And there's no tax benefits.
Right. And you can't like do anything with the place. You can't like upgrade it.
You could.
But you have to change it back.
No, you could, but it's benefiting the landlord, not you.
Right. And
if I was a landlord, I would highly recommend all my tenants to upgrade the house that I'm letting them rent, because they're doing me a favor.
Right. And some, like, if you live in an apartment, I lived in like 5 apartments. You don't even get your full deposit back. And I look at the paper they give it to you after, they automatically take out the carpet fee. They say you don't clean the oven. You don't do all these things to not give you your money back.
Yeah.
And the moment we found out that we can buy a house, we like, people were like, why? We even asked you, like, should we buy a house? And you told us, it's up to you. It's up to you. I can't tell you yes or no. It's
Everybody's
up to
situation is different, yeah.
Everybody's situation is different. And this is the best decision ever, because we can do whatever we want.
Yep.
It took us a while to get in the mode, like, this is really ours. And that's why I think it's a shock value to people that you can really own.
Good. You could shop around, and you don't get dinged for anything after that, as long as it's within 30 days.
That was Gina's perspective. Like, if we keep shopping around,
Credit score is gonna go down.
It's gonna go down and go down and go down. And once we figured that out and we went to go find that information, and we found out it's not that bad.
No.
You see what I'm saying?
Nope.
And so what can you tell the people, like, what words of advice in short terms that you can tell the people, just go for it? Like, own your home.
Yeah, for me, I would say speak to a local expert. Speak to somebody you trust and want to work with. Not everybody you meet on the first time is probably going to be the person you want to go with, because everybody's different. Just like your character is wired differently from mine, I'm loud and you're a little bit more concerned and discerning about the other person. Every agent is different. You need to find that one that you could connect with, because it's going to be a relationship, right? It's going to be something to where it's going to take you months, and the process is either going to be fun or stressful.
Okay.
And I think people's going to rather choose fun than stressful. So I think the person that's involved in the transaction is super important. So just speak to a local expert that you want to work with. And then from there, they're going to tell you everything, how you should go about it.
Right. They really, like, when we sat there, they really broke it down, where it's like, you'd be paying this much in taxes, this much for PMIs, and all that type of stuff. We're like, oh, let's just see if we can do it. We went home, figured out that we can do it, and you may be paying like a little bit more than if you were to rent, but you're paying yourself. That's what I figured out in the long run.
You are paying yourself, but you look at it like this. Like, people look at paying a mortgage as a whole, right? Home insurance, tax, principal, interest, mortgage insurance if it's below 20% down. They look at all that and they're like, man, this is more than rent. I'd rather just rent.
Right.
But if you look at the long term, it's actually less than rent, because your taxes and your interest is deductible towards your income tax.
Okay.
So if you factor all that in, you're actually paying less per month versus renting. Because rent, if you're paying $1,600, all of that is going to waste.
So are you saying that you actually get the money back?
You do. You get to deduct it against your income tax.
Okay.
So this year, did you guys do your tax yet?
Not yet.
When you do it, tell your CPA, your accountant, that you just bought a house last year.
Okay.
He or she's going to ask for your HUD. It's going to show all the taxes that you paid for, and the deposit, and the down payment and all that, and your monthly payments that you guys have been making. Now, your mortgage company is going to send you like a tax form that shows you how much you've been paying in principal, in interest and tax. You send that to your accountant, that deducts against your whole income.
Because
See, people don't realize home ownership benefits until they do their taxes. And then when they do their taxes, they're like, oh my gosh, like, this is great.
Right.
So when you look at it as a whole like that, long term, owning a home is so much better than renting. Because renting, you put yourself up for a chance of being evicted, and you have no control over. Maybe 90 days to find another home, but what if you don't find another home within 90 days? You're forced to go and live with friends and family, or under a bridge, God forbid, and you don't get to do what you want to it.
All right, so So for the people that should rent, who are the people that should rent?
For the people that should rent, or the people that are preparing to one day become a homeowner. Here's why I say that. It's kind of like your first job. Where does people majority go? McDonald's, Taco Bell. I always say McDonald's and Taco Bells are great for a stepping stone career. It's to put yourself out there to get the experience that you worked And it's not a lot of pay, but don't stay there forever. You actually shoot yourself in the foot when you stay there forever. Because now you're not accomplishing your goal. You should always go in thinking, I'm only going to be here for a year, and it's a stepping stone to my next job that's going to be better. Renting is the same way. You rent so that you could prepare yourself for home ownership.
Right.
Right? Because while you're renting, you're not doing what? You're not paying for the maintenance. You're not paying for the property taxes.
Right.
You're just living there and paying the rent. So because of that, use that time and opportunity to save money, build your credit, and speak to a local expert so that when your lease is up, you could eventually buy a home. The problem people have is they rent and they get comfortable.
Right.
They get comfortable and they rent, and they don't ever think about buying a home. And then next thing you know, it's 10 years in, they've been renting. And all this money's been forking out to the landlord.
Because because California is getting expensive. And like you said, I see in the future that it's going to be so high where you're going to have to live with other people, like New York, like the East Coast, where people, like, they buy a house and you just...
Airbnb it or room by room,
Yeah, and I told myself and my wife, I don't want to be in that position where before that wave hits, I want to avoid that situation. And it was the greatest decision.
Yeah, man, it is.
It was the greatest decision.
You can do whatever you want. You know, you can have people over, you have your own yard, your kitchen's yours, you can do whatever you want to it, you know?
Right.
And, like, renting is not bad.
Right.
But it's there not to be a permanent solution. It's like a bandage. It's like a bandage, you know? And for the people that rent and only want to rent, it's okay. That's perfectly fine. But you're shooting yourself in the foot. You're actually losing more money on the long run.
Yeah, because you put this chart on, I think it was you who put the chart where it's like...
If you're renting versus how much you're throwing away, how much you could save.
Right, like paying rent for like 5 years, like you're really giving that...
Down payment
the
away.
Management company like $200 and something thousand where you could have like,
buy your own house.
Yeah. Whether it was in like the ghetto or wherever.
Yeah, anywhere. Because if you rent, you can't choose your neighborhood.
Right.
You can only choose what's available on the rental list.
Right.
Right? Buying a home, you get pick and choose your neighborhoods. You can choose what area you want. Like, you guys went to El Grove. You guys could have stayed in the hood, but no, you guys had that option to know, I want to go to El Grove. Because you're buying now, not renting. Right? So there's a lot of pros and cons to it. But if you really look at the long term, you always want to look at long term, right?
Right.
Everything you do in life, I believe you should always look at the long game, not the short game. Short game is satisfying now, but the long game is what you gotta look for.
Right.
You know, like, why are you doing this channel? You're not doing it because it's great today, tomorrow you're off. No, you're doing it for a long game of being able to move somebody, inspire somebody to do something, right?
Right.
Home ownership is the same way. It's for the long game. I mean, you could leave that house to your kids when you're not anywhere to be found anymore. Or you could rent that out and now become a investor to where you can give a family the opportunity to have a house to stay and use that as a stepping stone.
Yeah.
You know, rents are great, but it's not long term. It should not be long term.
And this is all the information that people can go to your YouTube channel for.
My YouTube channel or my website, chiatalks.com. I have all of that. If they want to contact me, Facebook, social media, all that, yeah. I put all this information out there to educate people.
Okay.
And sometimes people need to hear it 100 times for it to click. That's just how it works. Because the way we've been trained, we see too many advertisements, billboards, to where it gets repetitive, to where we automatically tell ourselves, shut down, it's just another advertisement.
Right.
So it takes a while for us to keep seeing the same thing, hearing the same things, in order for us to say, man, he's right.
Right.
It's just how it is. We're human beings and we have that flaw, unfortunately, unless you're really seeing the bigger picture instead of just looking, like what Jerry was saying.
And I'm going to put his link on the bottom so you guys go check him out. Subscribe too. But yeah, like, and so what do you see yourself in the future? Like, you have the YouTube, you have the social media presence. So what's a couple things that you want to achieve with people coming to you.
For
What do you want
me,
them to walk away from? You with knowledge.
when somebody comes to me, when they walk away, I want them to feel like, man, I got what I came for. I got what I came for, and I got so much more on top of what I came for. I was going in for this, but I'm coming out with so much more. A friend, a relationship, a mentor, a coach, whatever. It doesn't matter. Like an inspiration. I just want people to come to me and expect that the moment they leave, they're going to get so much more than what they intended for in the first place.
Okay.
It's not just buying a home or helping you buy or sell your house. It's a friend, a relationship, and you're going to get this energy being fed off from. And you're going to like be able to, like everybody I meet or have one-on-one with, I always tell them the same thing. Whatever you need, if I could do it for you, I'll do it. Just reach out.
Okay.
Just reach out.
Okay.
That's why I loved volunteering so much at church. Because there was always that fulfillment. Every time, whenever I gave that parking ticket to somebody to go park their car, or shaking their hand, or meeting them for the first time, or experiencing them walking out with a different face, figure, and a composure, everything, it just fulfills me. You know, like,
That's good.
I've always been wired that way, and it's hard to explain, but that was just me. You know, I just wanted to love on people, and I wanted them to know that they are loved.
Right.
You know?
And I can see that everything you do, like every conversation, I can, like when you say attentional, I can feel the attention that you give, the presence that you bring, and it's a cool thing. And I think people like such as myself that have like a calmer demeanor need people like you to balance them, to actually bring them to a place where they didn't know they can go. You see what I'm saying?
For sure.
And it's a pretty cool thing.
Yeah, man, it's been great. Like don't get me wrong. Like my wife has the same personality like you. She's really calm, but she's really calm and she's really focused. See, you're focused. Like me, because I'm so spontaneous, I'm paying attention to a million things. My wife, she can't do that. She focuses on one thing and she focuses with excellence until it's done. She'll move on to the next.
Right.
She's really good at that. So people like me need people like you as well, you know, because we need somebody to keep us in check and to keep us organized. I'm not an organized person.
And that's how I am in my marriage, where it's like, it's kind of weird that you say that, because to my wife, I'm like, I say we're people with dreams and passions and stuff like that. Not saying they don't have dreams and passion, but we're more out there. We're more like, I'm like you when it comes to like something I'm into. Like I'm really like
all in.
All in.
Yep.
And our wives are the ones who like, okay, maybe you should do this first, then you can like master it, then move on.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to practice that. And
there's a lot of value in that.
Yeah.
You know, like my mentor always tells me, you don't want to be like a tradesman of all these skills.
Right.
You want to be a master at just one thing. You know, and it's true.
What do you want to be a master at? At what aspect do you want to be? A real estate?
No, you know, real estate is just more like a career. It's just another way I earn a living for me and my family. Really, for me, I've always wanted to be somebody that encourages or motivates somebody else to do something. Like, I felt like it's always in me to, like, I have a passion to lift somebody up and be like, oh man, you got this. You got this. That's always been like something that's a passion of me.
Okay.
Like,
if somebody were to give you your own organization, like, Chia, I want to give you X amount of dollars to start this organization, what would be the sole purpose of that organization that you can build from scratch?
I will go and support all of the people that is unfortunate. Like, for example, this is just one idea that I've always thought of. That when I make it in life to where money is not an issue, I want to open up a studio to where it's free of charge. Anybody that has a desire to dance could just come and dance whenever they want. There'll be food, there'll be water, there'll be music, there'll be mirrors, there'll be a nice dance floor. They can just come out and do whatever they want because that's their creative outlet. That's always been a goal of mine, is to be able to provide for something like that. Another new goal of mine and passion for me is to start an organization or a foundation to where I help people like do a crowdfunding to where they could eventually become a homeowner and don't need any money.
Oh, that's
And it's being crowdfunded. And all the money comes from the supporters.
Because I always feel there's enough money in the world where
There's so much money to go around.
And I think it was Tupac said it makes no sense for one man should have a house that has 13 rooms. And and that clicked to me. I'm like, he's right.
Yeah, it's true. Like, and so that's a recent goal of mine to one day accomplish. So I've been working with a lot of my sponsors and supporters about this goal. Is, dude, we gotta come up with something to where it's crowdfunded, to where the random family that we help become a homeowner don't need nothing out of pocket. They become a homeowner. All they got focused on is maintaining their job and maintaining the mortgage. That's it. That's one thing I've always wanted to do. Now that I'm into this industry, it's that and that studio. That studio. And who knows, maybe down the road it may be something different. But that's always been something that I've always shared with everybody that I've spoken to. Whether it's in ministry or in this business, I've always wanted to be able to open up a studio for somebody to just come in and just do whatever they want.
Express their creativity.
Express their creativity through dance. Because dance is still in me. I love dancing. You know, I still keep up to date on all the scene and everything. All my buddies still do it. So like that's always been a passion of me, of one of my goals.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what aspects are you teaching your children from when they become your age?
That whatever they have a passion for, just go for it. Know that they have supporters behind them. And like, don't be afraid to fail.
Right.
Don't be afraid to fail. If somebody tells you you're not worthy, they don't know you.
Right.
They don't pay your bills, so you shouldn't owe any of your attention to that person because they don't pay your bills.
Right.
And that's a struggle right now with a lot of people. You know, their upbringing, they're like, man, I don't want that person to think this way of me. It's like, now they became your center of the world. Right. And you're catering everything towards them, which it shouldn't be that way. Who cares? They're not paying your bills.
Right.
They're not.
Yeah, and because I see like the generation that's coming up, I was like, they're gonna have the resources that we have now. Imagine how many resources they're gonna have.
Oh yeah.
When they become our age.
Oh yeah, like my daughter and my son, I already told my wife, they're gonna be way smarter than us.
Yes.
And we better be humble and learn to accept that now. Because when they are smarter than us and we don't support that, we're having our pride and ego up, they're gonna start rebelling. Yeah. And I don't want that, because that's what happened to our generation. You know, our parents didn't show us any love. So a lot of us started to rebel because we had to find that attention elsewhere.
Right.
Whether it's in our job, our spouse, our friends, you know, from the world. So I think that's important.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm glad you came today. I'm glad to talk to you. I just wanted people to see Chia. I want people to know that they can get wherever they want, whether if it's a home, and just get out of a certain mindset that you can't go higher than where you are. Everybody can own a home. Everybody can achieve what they want to achieve.
The sky's the limit.
Right. And hopefully we can have other conversations in the future. And
I'm down.
I'm glad you came. His channel will be in the link, the description below, somewhere down there. And I'm glad you came.
Thanks, man. It was fun.
Yes.